This is the Empty the Bench Super Bowl pregame show with Tom Albano, Nick Morgasen, and Johnny Montalbano on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. But as long as we don't get Fergie singing the National Anthem, I'll be okay.
Well, I didn't realize that was actually going to come back and bite me in the last episode of Empty the Bench. Hi, everybody. That's Tom Albano. That's Johnny Montalbano. I'm Nick Morgasen. We're here for another Super Bowl, Super Bowl 56. Bengals, Rams. We have a lot to get into. And hopefully we don't have to talk about Fergie for more than 10 seconds.
I've been lied to.
There you go.
Okay. I've been lied to, gentlemen. I was misconstrued. I thought we were here for the XFL $1 million game.
By the way, let's introduce Johnny, because Johnny will be coming over to our network. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Johnny, nice to have you with us here.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Tom. Good to be aboard.
So let's get into it. The Super Bowl, big game. This has probably been one of the more talked about Super Bowls in quite a long time, right?
I would say so. I mean, it's an interesting Super Bowl in terms of the dynamic of how this postseason and just season overall has gone. This has been one of the most interesting, ever-changing, upsetting playoffs that I can think of in the NFL, where you've had, think about the divisional round, 3 of the number 1, number 2 seeds all went out. And then the remaining one, the Chiefs, went out the very next week. It's number 4 seed versus number 4 seed. And I believe this is actually the first time in NFL history that we have a number 4 seed versus number 4 seed in the Super Bowl matchup. Second straight time one of the two teams participating in the Super Bowl is in their home stadium after it didn't happen for 54 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah, you know what I like about this? There's a lot of firsts in this game. You know, this is like it's the latest Super Bowl, I believe, because it's February 13th because of the year of the year. Like you said, you know, it's the first matchup of 2 4 seeds. You've got, you know, a lot of firsts, and I think that's what makes it a lot of fun. You know, you have Burrow, you've got Stafford making their first Super Bowls. So there's definitely a lot of storylines, and I think the fact that, you know, we've had so much other stuff to talk about as well has even made it a lot of fun as well. But no, there's definitely a lot of interesting storylines entering this game, and that's what's going to make it a lot of fun. And for me, like, I don't really have a rooting interest because I think it's a win-win all the way around.
I mean, unfortunately, all being from New York, there's not much to root for here. But
no, that's for sure.
But I would think we have it better off than, say, a Cleveland Browns fan. If you're a Cleveland Browns fan, this is one of your worst nightmares. You have Odell, who went over to the Rams after a whole drama and getting released there, and he's participating in a Super Bowl versus your interstate rivals, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well,
yeah. That's as a Giants fan. As a Giants fan, you know, it's like pick your poison too. Do you want Odell to win or do you want Eli Apple to win? I'm sure that's something we'll get into as well.
Oh yeah, there's that. I mean, it reminds me of just a few years ago when the Patriots and the Eagles were playing, and that was just a nightmare of a game.
Well, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, any New York Giants fans who heard Odell say, "Oh, the Giants were the best years of my life," I'm sure are smashing the TV screen right now.
Actually, more like laughing because I think that's a bunch of baloney.
I agree.
I mean, look, when we keep talking about that one-handed catch that he made, which I don't want to downplay it. It was such a great catch, but they keep talking about that. That's been the highlight for the Giants the past several years. And remember one thing about that game: they didn't win that game against the Cowboys. It was a great catch. Oh, that's great. They didn't win the game.
I mean, great catches are great. And doing acrobatic things are great, but if you don't win, who cares?
Yeah, I don't want to be talking about moral victories. I mean, the teams that I root for, that seems to be the only thing we've been talking about for the last several years have been moral victories. That's why I love this game, because it's all about winning. It's great storylines. That's what I love looking forward to today.
If I wanted moral victories, I would go look at the Jets and the New York Knicks.
Knicks fan right here. I know it.
And it's funny because we also are looking at two teams that are basically – they were coming back from, you know, just a couple of seasons ago, they were in two different places. You had the Bengals, who just a couple of seasons ago were in the basement of the NFL. That's why they got Joe Burrow. And that's why, they didn't move up too much because that first season Burrow got injured. And as a result, they were able to land Jamar Chase. So now they end up in the Super Bowl just a couple of seasons later. And for the Rams, yeah, they were in the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago, but it was one of the worst Super Bowls of all time. Two, they had Jared Goff, and now I would say the offense looks completely different with Matthew Stafford at the helm, even though Cooper Kupp is still amazing. And I have to give credit to Odell in that. I was a little worried because I didn't think he was going to be enough to pretty much make up for all the lost production that Robert Woods was going to have before he went down with injury. But, I mean, Odell is, maybe he's not the number one receiver, but he is a top receiver, and he's playing in the Super Bowl. He's finally gotten his wish. So somebody's going to have success here.
Now, is there going to be a prop bet for Odell Beckham in throwing yards?
I wouldn't be surprised. There's a prop bet for anything.
I mean, we have prop bets for planes flying over during the National Anthem. So, for the degenerate gambler who's just looking to gamble on anything, just go find any prop bet. Let the Gatorade color, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
and now that New York, you can gamble in New York. I mean, anything goes.
well, that's why this is going to be the richest or the most money ever spent in a Super Bowl, because, like you just said about the New York and more states that are allowing it, and it just it makes another reason for people to watch the game. I mean, the NFL is loving this because not only you watch it for the commercials or for the game, because I'm going out with a few friends and I'm sure they're only going there for the commercials. But now if you have to bet on anything, and you can even make this stuff up. I mean, you don't even need actual real prop thing. You can make it up by yourself and have some fun with it. Of course, we always encourage to do it. You do it wisely. But I mean,
yeah, don't no bookies.
No, that's for sure.
But I was going to say, what's ironic though is California, I don't think has it legal gambling right now for sports, doesn't it? I don't think it does.
I'm not 100% certain. Let me have a look. I can have a look up on that.
Because I saw, because I follow Barstool a lot, and like Portnoy was saying that they don't have a legal book.
Yeah, they don't. There's going to be a referendum in November.
How apropos that the Super Bowl, which is going to be the most gambled on, is in a place in California where you can't legally gamble on it.
Well, I remember that when it was in New York as well, and look how long it took for them to get, and they finally got it this recently.
Well, I don't know if New Jersey's ever going to really host it again because
they'll never get it again.
Yeah, just how cold it is. But California knows how to party. Maybe not legally, but.
Well, I would say I don't know if weather's really a factor. I mean, I will say I remember that Super Bowl up in New York, New Jersey quite well. And the one thing that I remember is how poorly mass transit was after the game. I remember waking up the next day to I remember some snow on the ground, and also the stories of how people were stranded because of mass transit. That's why they'll never get it again. Because I remember awesome. I'm sorry, go ahead. Just 1 second. I remember how awesome it was in New York City that whole week. They actually did a phenomenal job leading up to the game.
Yeah.
But afterwards, they did such a terrible job with mass transit and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if New York, New Jersey doesn't get it in our lifetimes.
It's not the only time I've ever heard of a story like that. I mean, as somebody in the combat sports world, I remember the two WrestleManias that Jersey had. You had reports, like that about the mass transit difficulties. And now I think about it, in 4 years, I think MetLife's going to be hosting one of the World Cup matchups when North America has the World Cup, and I can already see the nightmare coming with that.
Well, there's one thing though. If you remember that last Super Bowl that was at MetLife, we got hit with a massive snowstorm. Basically,
that didn't help either.
During the game, we got hit with it.
I think it was afterwards, Nick, because I remember actually looking at my memories on social media, and I remember
it was afterwards.
In front of us. It was the next morning. It was the game was fine. But it was the next day that we really had that snowstorm, and we were talking about it. Imagine if that happened during the game.
Yeah, I do remember that because I do remember having the next day. I was in college in Jersey at the time, and I remember the next day we had off because the snow was just too much.
I thought that was wasn't that the Peyton Manning Denver Broncos game?
Where they got smashed by Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, where the first play of the game was like a safety or something.
Yeah. That was one of the ugliest Super Bowls I've been in my lifetime. I remember that because we were so excited that it was in New York, New Jersey, and then it ended up being a total dud.
As a Giants fan, you think of the disaster that was the Giants Super Bowl game against the Ravens. I think the Broncos' performance against the Seahawks trumped it.
Those were the two worst. Yeah, I can say as a Giants fan, it was. I remember it was nice to make the game, but But yeah, no, that was a dud for sure. Speaking of weather, just transforming back to tonight's game, weather's going to be a big thing too because they're saying it's supposed to be the warmest game in history.
90.
What's that?
90 degrees.
Is it going to be 90? I remember hearing 85, but by the time with the real feel and everything and the way that stadium is set up, you're definitely going to see a lot. It's probably going to see a lot of cramping in this game as well.
Meanwhile, it's snowing over here in New York.
I know. What are we? We're in the mid 50s down here in South Carolina today, which is not terrible. We've had though our share of weather. We actually had a couple of snow flurries a couple of weeks ago, and then 3 Saturdays ago we actually had a little bit of snow and ice, and that paralyzed us for a little bit. Just a little bit of snow and ice.
Well,
I know.
What's so crazy though is what was it, like 50 or 60 degrees in New York 3 days ago, and now it's 20 or 30, and we have snow, and I'm like, we're all gonna get sick. Just watch.
That's how it happens. But something to watch for in this game, one of the many things to watch for is that weather, because you're going to probably see a lot of cramping because these, the Bengals, they're not used to playing in these kind of conditions for sure. Yeah. It's one of the many factors you can talk about when you
big home field advantage. Yeah, I think I'd say even bigger than last year with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and as far as like the fan base goes, I don't really, and I was talking about this with somebody too, I don't really know how much of a home field advantage that is going to be, because I think you're going to have your Rams fans, you're going to have your Bengals fans, and you're going to have your corporate and celebrity group that's going to be there as well. So I don't think home field advantage as far as the fan bases go is going to be that much of a difference. It might be a home field advantage as far as the weather is concerned.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's going to be as much when it comes to the fan bases as well.
Well, let's be real. I don't know if you guys have seen this thing going around on Twitter the last couple of weeks when you see the prices for the Super Bowl and nothing is in the hundreds of dollars. Everything is thousands of dollars.
Well,
the real fans can't afford to go to this.
That's just corporate greed, because they want as much money as they can possibly get. The NFL is a corporate entity where all they care about is the bottom line. Look at the commercials. This year, the commercials for the Super Bowl, $7 million for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, and this is one of the prop bets, which we'll get into later, Anheuser-Busch basically owns like 7 or 8 of the different companies that have commercials during the Super Bowl.
And Budweiser, and all the companies that didn't air, I believe, are back now for this year's Super Bowl.
And there were some people that double bought for minute commercials. So think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get into the game.
Yeah. So I thought the best way to go about this is, I think we did this last year too, a little position by position, breakdown by breakdown. Let's see who's got their strengths, who's got their weaknesses, where are they, who's got the stronger here, who's got the stronger here. Let's get into all that. So let's start at the quarterback helm. We've got 2 of probably the most interesting, probably the best quarterback performance this season, if not just currently in the NFL. You got Joe Burrow, who, he had his injury last season that kind of ruined his rookie season, but in his first true full season, he has performed up to his expectation, if not further. And then you've got Matthew Stafford, who you kind of have to feel good for. After all the suffering he did in Detroit, in which he was given little to no help, I mean, to the point where Detroit was just so screwed up that Calvin Johnson decided to retire basically in his prime, rather than continue to play with the Lions organization. And then Sean McVay, after this whole falling out with Jared Goff, takes Jared Goff and 2 firsts. Think about it. They don't have a first for the next 2 drafts, so this is a risk for the Rams. But right now, it seems like it's paid off, because here they are back in the Super Bowl, just when things looked a little more bleak. And now you got to feel good for Stafford, because after waiting all this time, he finally got to perform up to his expectations. Now he finally gets to perform, on the NFL's big stage. So this is an interesting one. Young gun versus veteran, but both guys who have had to overcome in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the way this goes, by the way, speaking of Burrow and Stafford, Burrow's suit game is on tap, because I just saw on the NFL Twitter account, like he walked in with like a zebra stripe suit, and the flat brim hat, like the Neo look, and I was just like, all right, the suit game's on tap. Well, let's see what he actually does on the field. But
Right on point in LA. Yep.
so I don't know. I've always leaned on the Rams. I think it might be their time finally after all these years. I mean, you dealt with an owner in Kroenke who basically had to pay off the city of St. Louis because he forgot, oh, wait, I can't just pick up my team and move it from St. Louis to LA without dealing with issues.
Yeah, this is quite a matchup because if you look at it, you've had, like you said, with Stafford, but I look at Burrow, not only to come back from the injury, but the way he's done it, and with his offensive line, which has been an absolute disaster today. I mean, look at how many hits that he has taken this year, how many sacks and stuff, and the fact that he's had to use those legs to be mobile and get around it. I mean, it is definitely quite a ride. So, I mean, the better quarterback, I think, well, let's put it this way. When you ask the question, who's the better quarterback, I would almost answer it in that who's in a better situation and a better system. And I think it's Stafford because I trust his offensive line more than I trust Burrow's in that regard. Both teams really offensively on me, I think they're almost kind of similar because they've both got good weapons. They've got multiple wide receivers who are very, very good. On Burrow's side, you have, obviously, we talked about Jamar Chase, but Higgins has been a tremendous receiver. And I know he's going to try and play today, but their tight end Uzama has been very, very good too. Very underrated as well. I've watched a lot of Bengal games lately, and he's been a big presence as well. Running backs, they both got running backs they could use, but I do trust Stafford a little bit more in this game. That's not to say though that I think Joe Burrow is going to have some moments like he's had in all these postseason games as well, but I think Stafford's in the better situation.
So I actually just pulled up Pro Football Reference to get some of the numbers on both the guys for 2021. So Joe Burrow, we have he only played in 16 games. He ended up missing one game this season. 70.4 completion percentage for 4,600 yards, 34 touchdowns against 14 interceptions. And then on Stafford, who played in all 17 games this year, completion percentage of 67.2, 4,800 yards, actually about 100 shy of 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns compared to 17 interceptions. So very similar. In numbers wise, you do got to give the edge to Stafford. And I think, Johnny, like you said, it goes back to the kind of situation that Stafford is in Los Angeles, which we'll get into position by position more in just a little bit. So, and again, I think also the other thing you got to consider is also when you're looking at the picture as a whole, but probably is more emphasized with these quarterbacks, the big game experience. So Stafford and Detroit never really had playoff success. But Stafford, at least as the veteran, he's used to the big lights and the big pressure. As Joe Burrow, this is the first time. Yeah, like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Yeah, they did win a national championship with LSU together. But national championship in college versus the Super Bowl, I mean,
you're talking about apples. You're talking about apples and oranges here between the national championship and the Super Bowl. But just looking at the matchups of the quarterbacks, I think Johnny's right. Matthew Stafford, more experience, has been there. He has played in some playoff games, even though he's been on the NFL's probably worst nightmare team of ever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say in the long term, Burrow is going to be the better quarterback in every way, shape, or form.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. Burrow is going to succeed Stafford, if not by a little, by a lot, in terms of the NFL's all time once he's done.
But what's key here is experience. Now, you have guys on the LA side. You have the Odells, even though you don't know which Odell you're going to get when you play in a game. You have Cooper Kupp, who's won the Triple Crown. Probably should have been up there for some MVP votes if it wasn't for the bias of a quarterback winning every year. And so on. You have so many offensive weapons. You have Akers. You have guys that are going to make this team go. They generate offense. They don't have to go out there and force offense to make it.
Well, I was going to reference with somebody like the likes of Cooper Kupp. Some of these guys on the Rams were on the Rams just a few seasons ago when they did play the Patriots in that Super Bowl game. So for those guys, like a Cooper Kupp, I would say with a Robert Woods, if he wasn't injured, they're hungry. They came so close last time, and they fell victim to Brady, horrible Super Bowl, and now they're here with a vengeance. Plus, again, I was going to say this for a little later, but I mean, with the fact that the Rams have given up their first rounder in this draft and next year's draft, is this kind of must win now?
Well, I wanted to ask Johnny though, because unfortunately, I think this might be a little bit of a fallacy of a predetermined outcome with Odell Beckham, because if Robert Woods doesn't go down, you don't have Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
So how different is this situation look? Or are they even here?
It's hard to say. That's the thing. You don't know, because you don't know if they run a different system with Odell. I mean, Odell, let's put it this way. I mean, he got very, very fortunate because timing was lucky, and also because he doesn't have to be a number one receiver. So I think he actually ended up – I originally thought that he was going into a bad situation. He ended up going into the perfect situation.
Right, because there's no pressure being the number one guy. He doesn't have to run those out routes constantly and –
because they're gonna go for Kupp first, and then even Jefferson as well. So he almost is even, you can't forget about him, but they always are going to go for Kupp first. So
that's funny. That's funny that you guys mentioned that, because I remember when Odell signed with the Rams, I thought this is a nightmare, because all this time in New York and in Cleveland, he wanted to be the number one. It's kind of like he kind of learned from the experience with Cleveland when everybody was covering him. He wasn't getting the targets. It was Jarvis Landry who was constantly getting the targets. And now that he's playing with Kupp, like you guys are saying, there's no pressure on him. And it works out in best of both worlds, because guess what? He is still the explosive wide receiver that he can be, and he's playing in a Super Bowl matchup. So.
Yeah, but the difference between Cleveland and LA, he almost was pressured to be the number one guy, even though he technically wasn't, because Baker wasn't performing. He had a torn labrum in his shoulder. The ball's not being thrown by Baker. So the media...
And sorry to interrupt, but and Cleveland, even though we're talking about Baker, Cleveland is a more run offense when they got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Right, so Odell didn't... First of all, I thought that was the strangest fit for Odell when he was basically put out on the market. And they said, all right, we have Cleveland. He could have gone to any team. He chose a team where Baker can't throw the football even when he's healthy.
Thanks, Dave Gettleman. Yeah. I was saying that too in the AFC Championship game when BJ Hill made that interception off Mahomes. So now let's say it again. Thanks, Dave.
I don't know. I just look at the wide receivers of both teams. This is probably one of the more even matchups I've seen at the wide receiver.
Yeah, this is the toughest one. I don't know, because I talk about explosive wide receivers with like OBJ and how Cooper Kupp is like the Triple Crown winner. But I mean, Chase, Higgins, we've already talked about how great those two are. And Tyler Boyd, I mean, yeah, he's taken the back seat, but quietly, he is proven to be, as a veteran presence, he is a very reliable veteran presence on that Cincinnati team.
The tricky thing is, you know what? I think the most explosive player and the best receiver is on the Rams. It's Kupp, but I think the receiver that can make the best fit here is Chase. I mean, you see those two lock up together. They've been great. And when you double up Chase, you've got Higgins. I mean, Higgins had 100 yards in the AFC Championship game because everybody was going for Chase. So it's really, really close because they're both three deep. I agree with you guys. I think it is a very even matchup, and that's going to create for a lot of fun.
And
go ahead.
To bring his name out, because he's on the graphics, so we got to bring up a bit of a wild card. He's always very quiet, but you never know when he can sneak up on you, especially when a wide receiver for LA goes down. Van Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people forget that he's on the team, for crying out loud. And he's a good receiver. I mean, people forget.
Maybe he will get targets because, we'll get to the tight end situation in just a little bit.
Well, it's not even that. The Super Bowl is a whole different ball game by itself. A lot of times you have to use your third, your fourth, or as they say in alphabet, your XYZ sometimes because right, because there's double and triple coverage on everybody, and you don't want to be embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
Tom, we know that. I mean, as Giant fans, some of the most memorable moments from our last two Super Bowl runs were made by a no-name wide receiver and a third-string wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Victor Cruz was the big wide receiver in 2011, 2012, but it wasn't him who made the big sideline catch.
Yep, it was Mario Manningham. So,
I mean, I still go back, and this is going back a long ways. I look at the Tyree catch, and you realize that he was not a number one guy. If you look back at some of the Super Bowls over the years, it's a no-name guy that somehow makes a big play that wins the Super Bowl.
2014-15, Super Bowl 49. Malcolm Butler intercepting one at the 1 yard line.
Right.
I think the last big receiver that made a big time play. I mean, I'm sure there's more recently, but the one that always seemed to be shown recently, leading up to the game, is Santonio Holmes out there in Pittsburgh when he made that catch against Arizona.
That final touchdown catch.
Yeah,
that was nuts.
I mean, we've seen some boneheaded plays in the Super Bowl, like I think it was the Patriots Seahawks, the one where they should have had Marshawn Lynch run the ball in the end zone.
The one I just mentioned about
that was definitely one of the more head scratching plays in history for sure.
Because that should have been another win, and I'm like, what are you doing? Everyone was shocked. Like social media just went, like, what are you doing?
You watched it over and over again. You're still shocked about it. Given everything else.
What was Seattle thinking? Like,
I don't know. All right. Quickly, better running back. I think honestly, I would pick Joe Mixon over both Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. I think Akers and Henderson are good. The issue you got with the Rams running backs, and those two are injury prone. They are and that's not to say Mixon hasn't been. Last year was horrible for him with injuries, but Mixon has been. Honestly, he has been one of the comeback players of the season. He has had a tremendous season. It's like I talked about at the very start of the season, Nick. With the Bengals team can be very healthy. They can be very explosive and very underratedly. Everyone's talking about Burrow and Chase, but Mixon he's been putting up a season to remember as well.
Well, that's not the only problem. You also would scream at Vegas for disrespecting the Bengals constantly, which I agreed with you. You and I have been on that train all year.
Part of me is sad that San Francisco lost to the Rams, because if this was San Francisco playing,
they would have been a clear favorite.
I would be yelling, "Don't disrespect the Bengals" this entire stream.
Well, it was so weird because when we would go through and we would do the picks based on the lines, every week somehow the Bengals would be the underdog, even though we know they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I think part of it too, and this is something I'll bring up here. I think the home team gets valued more than it should be, because we've seen in this postseason, we've seen it the last 2 years in the NFL, especially the road teams are having almost 50% success at winning games. So I think everybody likes to talk about home field advantage, and I think they're talking about it in this Super Bowl as well. But I don't think it means as much as it used to in years past. And obviously, I would say that last year because you had COVID, that really had a hamper on that. But the last 2 years, the road team has had about 50% success. We've seen it in the playoffs. In the divisional round, you had 3 road teams win, or in the wild card as well, they had success. So I mean, that's part of it. That's part of it too.
All right, let's get to the tight end situation. The reason that I brought up Van Jefferson, maybe he will get some targets to note, is because a little bit of a blow to the Los Angeles offense. Tyler Higbee has been confirmed out for the Super Bowl with an injury, which means CJ Uzomah will now be going up against, it sounds like it's going to be Kendall Blanton, who had a couple of catches in the NFC Championship game against San Francisco.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's good to see that Uzomah is going to play, but you wonder how effective he's going to be with that MCL sprain. I mean, when I saw it go down in real time, I thought I was ACL written all over it. So they only have an MCL sprain is good. Uzomah has actually been very, very important to the Bengals. You've seen him.
He's been sneakily good.
Exactly. That's the word I was going to use. He's been sneaky because when you think of the Bengals, you think of their receivers Chase and Higgins, but you also have Uzomah, who's made some big plays as well. So I don't know how effective he's going to be. So this almost could be like one you can't answer because you don't know how effective he's going to be, and the other guy you really haven't seen much of. So it's kind of a push in this point because it's just you don't really know. I mean, obviously Uzomah's been great, but how effective is he going to be with that MCL sprain?
I mean, the tight end position is always a tough position to tangle out of webs, as I like to say, where you're like, does it matter? Unless you're like an Ertz,
who used to be with the Eagles, now with the Cardinals. Because everyone used to say, oh, when the Eagles make it, Ertz is the standout tight end, or Gronk. Or Kelsey. Like, unless you have those three guys, who you could flip a coin in the air, no pun intended, and basically just pick who you want at the position, and if you get lucky and you get some offensive production. Most of the time, the tight end is blocking for whatever wide receiver is making the route anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, they go through tight ends like anything. So I agree with you on that, Nick.
I mean, what was it? The Bucs had like 4 tight ends on their roster at one point.
Gronk, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. Yeah.
So they didn't care. Tight ends grow on trees, apparently. I wish that was money, but that's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
All right. Federal offensive line, I think we kind of already answered this question a little bit. A lot more trust in that offensive line over in Los Angeles.
I totally agree.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. I mean, Burrow's been sacked more times. We saw it in the last game where they almost blew it away, where he couldn't stay on his feet.
Yeah, the difference with in the Chief game is he would have been sacked 10 times too, but he just was mobile and able to get out of a lot of possibilities with his legs. But he's going to have to probably do that again because, boy, I'll tell you, Von Miller and Aaron Donald, I mean, they are going to be coming after him big time.
Which leads to this, and I said it on yesterday's broadcast on episode 121. I think the Rams defense is going to be the X factor of this game. They are going to be the make or break point. If they show up, like this should be, you talk about Von Miller, you talk about Jalen Ramsey. This should be, and it has proven to be one of the better defenses of the NFL. But, we've never seen them against an explosive offense, the likes of a young explosive offense, I should say, of a Joe Burrow, a Jamar Chase, and a Tyler Higgins, and a Joe Mixon.
Yeah, you know what? The better defense is with the Rams, but I'll tell you, I would not underestimate the defense of the Bengals. I mean, they made adjustments in the second half against the Chiefs. We saw B.J. Hill, former Giant, of course, make a big interception. They have the ability. They got to Mahomes a couple of times in the second half and overtime of the AFC Championship. So I would not underestimate. And we also know that Matt Stafford, for as great as he is prone to the pick six and the interception as well. But the better defense is with the Rams, and I think it is definitely possible. And we'll get to this, I know, but this could be a Super Bowl where you could see a defensive player win the MVP.
Right. And I think I said this, Tom, on the yesterday's episode. I said it's Rams defense or bust in this game, where if the Rams defense comes out and they do what they know how to do, Cincinnati's not winning. They're just not winning because the Rams have an explosive defense, like Johnny said. They have guys. They have Von Miller. They have Aaron Donald. They have guys that are going to destroy you in the pocket, forcing bad plays.
Okay, fair. But if they let up just a little bit to allow Joe Burrow to have some of that explosive magic, that could be trouble for LA. And actually, what's funny, I'm thinking of our third host, Nick Federa, and his prediction the other day when he predicted 27-24 for the Rams and the game ending basically on a field goal. If the game ends on a field goal and a 3-point difference, if that last drive was caused by something defensive like a fumble or interception, Johnny, you're very right that whoever caused that play on the defense could probably get the MVP for that reason alone.
Yeah, certainly, and I could definitely see that could be a point in this game too, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if a big interception comes down and you have Money McPherson there for the Bengals lining up. I mean, the way this postseason's been, and the way this year's been in general, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
He's been on fire as a kicker. I mean, I think I read he's got 40 points in the postseason.
Honestly, he's going to be, you want my take? He is going to surpass Greg the Leg for what he's been for the last 5 years.
Wow. Well, I mean, it could be. I mean, it's definitely been quite a ride, a run for him.
I give credit to Matt Gay. Matt Gay still an excellent kicker. So, I mean, remember, gentlemen, when there was a time when the extra point and the field goal was nothing to really think about, but now these days you got kickers missing left and right.
Well, now you have teams going 2-point conversion. Thanks, Pittsburgh, for purposely doing that constantly. But you know what? We've seen it before, and of course, the weird instance from earlier in the playoffs where we could have had a possible tie remove the the Steelers from playoff contention.
Yeah.
Yep.
So all based on field goals, like you said.
Yep, no, that's for sure. And that goes to that dreaded A word that we don't like talking about in sports, analytics.
All right. Before we get into the profits and our final prediction, a little quick news briefs here on this special Empty the Bench Super Bowl stream, because there's a lot of football news that's kind of breaking here. It's funny, as we've been on standby thinking about baseball with the inevitable announcement from Manfred coming probably at some point during the Super Bowl. That's free.
Hey, Rob, stay away from my Super Bowl. Stay away.
At 6:29 and 59 seconds, we think maybe he might sneak in a word or something.
Probably.
Oh, that would be so good if that happened.
All right.
I mean, he's done everything else wrong. Why not, right? But,
yeah. All right. So remember, gentlemen. Remember, Nick. I've spent this whole year saying this is it. Rodgers and Packers. This is it. I said after that game where they lost to San Fran, I said there's no way they're coming back together. Well, according to Shafter, the Packers are, quote, prepared to go all in on Aaron Rodgers in 2022.
Unfortunately, it's hard to take anything Adam Schefter and his word at this point, considering that he screwed up the other news, unfortunately, the way it was going with the Tom Brady retirement. But I'll play you one sound effect, which I think goes great with this situation.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
I can't see this. No. If this is the case, if this is true, why the hell did you draft Jordan Love in 2020?
I mean, because they saw the writing on the wall that Aaron Rodgers is old and maybe it's time to move on, and they don't want to deal with the Brett Favre situation all over again.
Okay, but if this is true, why'd you draft Jordan Love? Why'd you draft AJ Dillon? It seemed like the Packers were prepared, this whole time to transition over the offense, but
I'll give you one more. You want to know what it's about? Money.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Because now I see a report on social media that apparently they're offering him $45 million.
I mean, let's be fair, gentlemen. He did win Super Bowl MVP for the second year in a row. Aaron Rodgers is the one in the driver's seat. If he wanted to, get out of there and go play out west like we thought last offseason, go play in Denver or go play in Las Vegas, that's on him. But I think it's more about the Packers and their actions, because I remember towards the end of 2020 when they were considering bringing in Will Fuller out of the crappy situation in Texas, but they said no. Ultimately, never went through because of money issues, supposedly. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Now, of course, maybe it ended up being a little bit of an avoidance because Fuller ended up testing positive for PEDs and ended up his 2020 season ended up getting cut short and barely even played, if he even played in 2021. But still, just the actions. I think that's the thing. It's the actions of this Green Bay team, these actions that they didn't want to spend. And now all of a sudden, why should we believe? Why should we believe there's a change when nothing has changed over there?
No, there isn't going to change. If there was ever a year from the leave, it would have been last year. But if you want to win, Green Bay is still the best spot for him to be in. I mean, why? I understand you want to get out of there, but why would you want to go to a place like Denver where it's been rumored that he wanted to go to in that division? I still think Green Bay is the best spot for him. And like you said, though, money's going to be a thing though, because eventually you're going to have to pay Devontae Adams as well. But I mean, the best place still for Rodgers is Green Bay. And I've said that if there was ever a year for him to leave, it would have been last year.
Well, I understand. But what I'm saying is that basically, what about Packers management? Why should we expect a change from them?
There is no change. There is no change. And first of all, as Johnny started to bring it up, Devontae Adams is attached to the hip of Aaron Rodgers. Like any other good wide receiver is attached to their quarterback. So regardless if he stays in Green Bay or if he goes off to California with the Niners, or
where Rodgers goes, Adams is going to go,
or if he goes to the Bucs, which is the speculation I came up with, then that he's going to go wherever he goes. But hey, Aaron, wait a minute. Hey, Aaron, what do you think about this situation?
RELAX.
I'm just imagining again a Bucs offense with Rodgers at the helm, and then a wide receiver trio of Evans, Adams, and Godwin.
And bring Gronk back. Bring Gronk back too.
I would not want to play that team.
That division too. I mean, my God, they would run all over everybody in that division.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks in an interesting situation with their team, Chris Morgasen is reporting that there is a, quote, odd vibe between Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. In fact, you know what? I'll just read his whole thread because it's a very weird explanation. So, the odd vibe between the Cardinals and Kyler Murray is indeed alarming. Murray is described as self-centered, immature, and finger-pointer per sources. Murray is frustrated with franchise and was embarrassed by playoff loss to Rams and thinks he's being framed as the scapegoat. Where is it headed? Despite the acrimony, the Cardinals expect things to calm down and Murray is their quarterback. Select veterans hope to reach Murray on how he can handle adversity better. Coach Cliff Kingsbury also is self-scouting where he can provide better alternatives for the quarterback. Now, what's interesting, gentlemen, I don't know if you remember, but following that loss to the Rams, there was a whole reported blow-up in inner management with the Cardinals, supposedly Kingsbury fighting with the rest of the Cardinals upper management over, like it's actually referenced by Morgasen, the embarrassing loss against the Rams.
This is a dumpster fire. And by the way, I mean, it's how crazy that situation is over there. I'm sorry, but they won what 10 games this year, and they couldn't get past the freaking first round. Come on!
They epically collapsed in the second half of the season.
It was a collapse. I remember talking in October how it looked like they were going to be unstoppable. And even when Murray missed a couple of games, they still were winning. And
let's honestly, we just talked about the Rams and how we were questioning it. Once Robert Woods goes, this should have been them. This could have been the Cardinals. We talked
absolutely.
about it.
And I hate to say this, but I'm going to bring this up for the heck of it. If we only had baseball, can you imagine? Could you see Kyler Murray saying, "You know what? I'm done with you guys," and going to swing a bat?
Nick just said that
playing for the Oakland.
I said that yesterday. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, sorry to see you. Sorry to see you. But unfortunately, we're not going to see that because we're not going to have baseball. And
I was going to say. Well,
you would
invested too much money in there.
You would need labor negotiations first to deal with that, but I don't know.
I mean, I'll throw this out there also. I mean, look, Murray expects to remain with the team. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you scrub your whole Instagram account of Cardinals gear. Could you see a possibility though of him going to the Bucs?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I said that too.
Yeah.
Oh, see, Nick, you and I, great minds think alike. Nick and I haven't seen each other in person in years, but we still think alike. I like that.
But I can see it. I can see the Bucs now. Think about it, if you're the Bucs, you just lost, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Now, granted, he was expected originally to only go 2 seasons, but you signed him to an extension after last, and you thought you were going to get more. Now it's like, oh crap! Now we got to scramble. Now we got to find a quarterback to work with our explosive wide receivers. You need a guy, like a Russell Wilson, like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I actually think it's a really good fit for him, because he's a mobile guy. The weather down in Florida, you don't have to worry about him with his legs or something. I mean, I do think it's a really good fit. I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I do, but I mean, all the signs. I don't know how they're going to work this out because it's now multiple signs. You've had this report. You've had him scrubbing his Instagram account of all Cardinals gear.
Wait a minute, didn't they put it back? You said, Tom?
No, the Cardinals Instagram account.
Oh,
the Cardinals. Okay. Didn't the Cardinals? You said they had a couple of photos. So Murray has like 2 photos on his Instagram, and the Cardinals has 2 photos themselves, but they're both of Kyler.
Yeah, well, now all the Cardinals photos are back, but the most recent 2 are of Kyler.
Of course they are, because you know what?
I'm sorry, guys. This is turning into a Taylor Swift style relationship.
Wait a minute, Tom. You know what this calls for, right?
What?
I see some clowns. I see a few elephants.
The circus music. Yeah, this is that. This is a circus. After the bench takes a trip to the circus, that is the Arizona Cardinals. And to think, we were just not long ago making fun of the Houston Texans because Arizona basically came in and swapped all the goods that they had, and now they're the ones in an explosive situation.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah.
What are you going to do? You got to blow that whole team up if he leaves, though? I mean, you went all in on him. It's like...
You went all in to get you got DeAndre Hopkins, and you basically robbed the Bill O'Brien of the Texans clean on that one.
That destroyed their team. If
Yeah.
I think if he's healthy, I think they win at least one game, possibly two. I think.
That's a very good point. A lot of people don't mention that when he went down. That was another reason why they just completely started to fall apart because, like I said, when Murray went down, Murray missed a couple of games with the ankle sprain earlier, and who was it, Colt McCoy, who went in and.
But they still won without those two.
Yeah,
which is incredible considering the way that situation went. Now, they were also relying on James Conner, which is incredible this season he had in the situation he had.
Well, that's the other. I think they made a horrible decision when Chase Edmonds got healthy and they put in Buttis as the one. No, that shouldn't have been. They should have had Conner remain as the one.
And the Cardinals, correct me if I'm wrong, they have a bunch of free agents this offseason. So, I mean, if there was ever, that could be another possibility too. If you think you're going to blow it up because you have a bunch of free agents on their team.
Actually, you are correct. Chandler Jones, Zach Ertz, AJ Green. I'm trying to get Spot Track to load here, but I mean Chandler Jones, who just had an unbelievable, season where basically he left his mark in the NFL in terms of defensive stats, and now
right behind Watt.
Right, and now he might be leaving. So he might be leaving. Max Williams, the tight end, who basically was going to get the opportunity before Ertz came in and got hurt. Max Williams, his contract's up. Actually, Connor's contract looks up.
Connor's is up too. Yeah.
Is up. McCoy's is up. Gonzalez, the kicker. Even Chase Edmonds, I think, might be up. This is a bad situation here in Arizona.
The Cardinals are blowing it up. I'm calling it now because if they can't figure it out now this early on, and they're not going to get better.
If they get rid of Kyler, they may as well just blow it up, and they may as well get rid of DeAndre as well.
I mean, it's certainly a possibility because you're not going to re-sign all those guys back. So, I mean, and that division, which has still got an explosive 49ers team, and you've got obviously now the NFC champions in that, and you still even the Seahawks. I mean, despite the fact that we don't know what their future is going to be. I mean, that's definitely it's a recipe. You put all those things together, it could be a recipe for a rebuild out there in Arizona.
Anything is possible at this point.
Yeah.
Also, I may mention this before we were talking about teasing about what's going to be the future down in Tampa Bay, but per Tom Pelissero, the Buccaneers are supposedly looking at a possible trade for Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson for 2022.
See, one of the factors with that is because you can't really go ahead and draft a quarterback this year because there really isn't an NFL. I believe there isn't an NFL ready quarterback in this draft this year.
I think the closest person who might be NFL ready is that guy from Pitt. What's his name?
Oh yeah, but he's going to go to Pittsburgh.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I think he's going to Pittsburgh. I think
I could see it.
I think it's a great story for.
Actually, we were interviewing Schlosser, Urinating Tree, right before the end of the year, and he said Pickett. That looks like Pittsburgh might go after him.
Because I mean, the first quarterback that's going to be taken is not going to be until probably mid to late first round.
Well, they said this is one of the worst quarterback classes in years, like where it almost makes sense to trade for a Russell Wilson.
We've been quarterback rich for what 5-6 years now, and now
try more than that.
Yeah, it's been for a long time, but yeah, this class. I mean, this class is more offensive and defensive linemen, which for my team is great because that's what we need.
Yeah.
But, and you know what, the Bengals needed too, so hopefully there'll be a couple of guys for them as well down there in the late round. But
although there is one to wrap it up on the NFL news circuit here, there is one more possibility. He's a veteran. He's just a fill-in kind of hole, but he looks like he is on the market, as Chris Morgasen is also reporting that Carson Wentz is expected to be either released or traded by the Colts prior to the start of free agency.
Oh,
for
God.
For all the good things that the Colts have done, this move, getting Wentz in there, might have just overtaken all the good that they've done.
Tom, this is such an odd situation, but first...
No!
Well, yeah. I think that actually sums up the Colts season when you lose to the Jaguars. You had the playoff spot in your hands. All you had to do was beat the Jaguars.
Jonathan Taylor, the top running back, pretty much. I don't want to hear this shit about.
Stuffed.
about other running backs this year. I don't know. I keep forgetting the Titans running back. It keeps going out of my head. Henry. Even though Henry was hurt, everybody, well, he's no, he's not. Jonathan Taylor was the top running back this year. I don't want to hear anything else. He basically ran them as close as they possibly could into the playoffs.
And they car crashed. They car crashed and lost.
They lost to the freaking Jaguars. Okay.
Yeah,
God.
Those images will that'll haunt them all off season. But like we were just saying with the Bucks and stuff, I mean, that's the way you're going to have to get these kind of quarterbacks now, because it's not because of the draft. It's going to need to be through free agency, or it's going to be through trade.
All right, let's run through some of Nick Morgasen's favorite things about the Super Bowl.
I love the prop bets. The prop bets are my favorite just because there's nothing to base them on whatsoever. It's quite literally just Vegas saying, hey, we want degenerate gamblers. Do you want to just spend your money and waste it? Go ahead, do it here. So the first one is, and we have them all here, the coin toss. Now, the coin toss is the most ridiculous prop bet in all of Super Bowl history because, one, there's nothing you can bet. I love when, like, the last couple of years, it's been heads, which means it's going to be tails. No, it's not. No, it's not. You don't know that.
I think the more interesting number is the more interesting stat is the one, Johnny, we both found it, that basically the last 7 Super Bowls, the team that has lost the coin toss has won the game.
Yeah, well, I took this down before we went on the air. This is Schefter tweeted this out, but it's from ESPN's NFL Countdown and Monday Night Countdown research producer. The team that has lost the coin toss the last 7 Super Bowls has ended up winning the game.
That's the next prop bet if you put it up on the screen.
But I'll tell you right, I'll say this though. I mean, if I was to do prop bets, I would never touch heads or tails. I just wouldn't.
I would stay away from coin toss prop bets just because of the 50-50 nature of it.
There's
one that I would touch in a second. I'm sure we're going to get to it. So go ahead.
But I was going to say, this is the biggest crapshoot. Anything with the coin toss. Because and you know what? I've heard people who spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars on the coin toss. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
I mean, the NFL postseason away was determined by 2 coin tosses.
It's one of the last human elements in sports that we still have. And because before you know it, they're going to have like a machine gun or something, shoot that thing up in the air going forward. You know, technology and everything. Because people are going to, somebody will file a lawsuit that the coin toss wasn't
legitimate.
Legitimately, yeah.
I'm like, come on, it's a coin for crying out loud.
Like, that's so powerful, yeah.
All I can think of is the 1998 Thanksgiving game with the tails.
Yes. That's it.
All right. Here's the other one that I find just ridiculous. What color is the Gatorade? I don't know. Could it be?
I have the bet. I have the odds for all the colors here.
Of course you do.
So I'll tell you all the colors, and then you can determine which one you think is the top. So there's orange. There's none. Blue, clear, yellow, green, red, pink, or purple.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, you would think that with the Bengals it'd be orange, and with the Rams it'd be blue.
So orange is the top one at plus 250.
I think that's because that's their most popular flavor.
But we've seen it over the years. Like everyone thinks, oh, it's because it's their color. It's in their Gatorade.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
I've seen plenty of blue and clear. I admit I am a green, yellow, the lemon lime guy myself.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah,
but I don't know. This one's just stupid in every way, shape, or form. Because there's no rhyme or I wonder if like the teams know that this is being bet on now, and they purposely put a certain color in there.
I bet they do.
Again, that's something that wouldn't surprise me either. If somebody goes out and says, let's change it up.
Let's screw with them.
I mean, you would have to also go back and do some research and see, like, in games past, if they ever did I don't think they've done one, like, during the regular season, so probably not. But you'd have to go back and watch the games and see what they're drinking in the games if they ever show it. Do your research, everybody. My favorite, and I'll get to this quickly. Do you remember one year? I don't remember the last time. Was it Fox called the game last year?
No, CBS.
CBS had it last year.
When did Fox call the game last?
2 years ago.
The Chiefs 49ers one.
So Buck did an interview with a digital platform because the amount of times, what was the word that he says all the times when he's calling the games? They were talking about a certain word that he says all the time. And he's like, purposely, I'm just going to say it a random amount of times just to fuck with
Oh, I
people.
remember. Yeah, I have to look. Let me look at that real quick. I remember what you were saying.
It was him and Aikman. Because how many times Aikman mentioned the Cowboys during the Super Bowl?
Oh, yes.
Buck, oh, shoot. What was the... Hang on, I got to look this up.
I have to look it up. I don't know if I can get up here, but...
But that's something with Buck. Like, I think he's like, that's amazing, or whatever he says. Like...
I'll tell you, the other thing about this, too, and I'll say this because of my job. I am a Coca-Cola merchandiser, and when I'm not doing this, and I'll say this, Gatorade is a product that people are having a tough time getting. The stores are having a tough time getting. So it might just be whatever one's available. So it may actually throw us all off.
Wait, so are you saying it might be purple, which is the least favorite?
I mean, if that's what's in stock. Now, I don't know what it's like, though, if it's different for sports teams to get it. But I know, like, trying to find it in the stores, they've had a lot of problems.
Well, they have sponsors and all that stuff. So
yeah, so they probably get, like, something right away. But, I mean, if you wanted to really take it in that perspective, you could go for an upset.
Hey, are you betting 1,000 to 1 plus 1,000 on purple?
You know what? If I had to, I kind of would go out on the limb because of the product shortages.
Was it Underdog?
Yes, I think that was it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he would always say it like the underdog, and I'm like, oh, yay.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say probably either. I'm going to stick with what I'm saying. It's going to be the orange for the Bengals and blue for the Rams.
I think you gotta have clear though. I think that's a very sneaky wild card.
I mean, those are the favorite is orange, and the second color favorite
clear.
is blue. So,
Oh, yeah.
All right. So next one, Super Bowl postgame MVP speech. So what will be mentioned first during the Super Bowl MVP speech? Now this I always find stupid because a lot of times the first thing that actually comes out of the mouth is, we're going to Disney World, or we're going to Disneyland, whatever.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, a lot of these athletes, like, they praise God, and that's what they do first. But that's not the favorite.
Family? Mom?
No. Team and teammates is the favorite.
I don't know if I'd go with the favorite on this one.
If Burrow wins the MVP, I'm going to say God.
Yeah, Burrow wins God.
Just coming back from that serious injury. So I think that's another thing. Depends on the MVP. I'm going to say I'm still going to go with God because it's just a natural thing to say. So I'm going to take God in that one. And what would I be getting on that?
Plus 370.
I think that's a good. I think that's a decent one. I think that's a decent one to take.
Yeah, I mean,
if Beckham wins it, Beckham might go teammates just because of where he's been at and the fact that it looks like he's actually matured out there.
No, but he's a God guy also, if I remember correctly.
Okay, I just was thinking maybe because of like where he's like the situation that he's been in, that now he's landed in a great spot, and it seems like he's matured a lot since he's gone to LA.
It's weird though because a lot of athletes praise their religion when they play sports, which I don't understand, but I guess it makes sense for what they do.
Yeah, it's that, and also you almost just it's just something that grows naturally. You just are used to saying that. It's like when athletes say all the time.
Oh God, that's another one. That should be a prop bet for athletes. All right, next one. Will a player propose after the game? Now, the reason people are bringing this up, obviously, is because Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Now,
okay,
this is.
But now, can I ask for a clarification? Does the proposal have to be on the NBC broadcast, or can it be like on a social media post or whatnot?
We're talking about during game because that's what all these bets are.
Okay, so it has to be seen
on the broadcast. Yes.
So I'm gonna.
Yes,
does Joe Burrow have a girlfriend?
Yes, I think he does. I know Stafford's married, so that takes that out of the equation.
Yeah. I'm going to say no.
Well, actually, this might relate to my Super Bowl pick, so I'm going to go no.
Yeah.
How many times? I don't think. When was the last time we've seen anything? We've seen it with the national championship, the college national championship, but I don't think we've ever seen it with Super Bowl, have we?
No, I mean, but so the odds are yes plus 400, no minus 650. So no is the favorite by far.
Who's the favorite? I'm going to say no.
All right, so what do we got next? Which media company? Oh, this one's good. Which media company commercial will air first? There's three choices: Meta, which is Facebook, Amazon Prime,
or Google?
Those are the only three.
wow.
Media company.
Media company.
For some reason I would go with Amazon because Amazon and the NFL are
You're a partner.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
Now,
Let's get the Thursday night game next year. Yeah.
the only one I could think, first of all, I think Meta's out. I gotta stop saying Meta because Meta's bullshit. It's Facebook. So you know what? And of course, now that we're streaming as on Facebook as one of our 3 platforms,
our account's been deleted, unfortunately.
And there's our last show on Facebook, everybody. First and last show for me.
But I think Google could be possible just because they're constantly growing and expanding their streaming and all that stuff. But Amazon Prime, obviously, working on their deals. Obviously, they missed out on the Manning cast because they're back at ESPN. But yeah, I think it's going to be Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's not the favorite, by the way. Facebook is the favorite.
Okay,
oh, wow.
so
I'll jump on Amazon and then immediately, especially on that news.
I would put a lot on that. All right, what do we got next? Oh, this is the one I was talking about earlier. Which Anheuser-Busch brand commercial will air first? Now, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 choices.
Okay.
So, obviously, Budweiser, the original. Bud Light next. Is that the one with the night? The Bud Night? Or no?
No, Bud Light is. Bud Light is. Yeah.
Oh, Michelob Ultra, which is you see constantly during NFL games.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of this one. Cutwater Spirits?
I've never heard of that.
That's got to be a new one.
It sounds fairly new. I mean, I see it in the stores whenever I merchandise, but I have never seen anything like that.
And then Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda. We've seen that. And
that's starting to get more popular. So in a couple of years, that could do it.
And then Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer. Wow,
this looks like some sort of. I'm looking at Cutwater. It looks like it's canned cocktails.
Of course it is.
Yeah, that's.
This bet though, I would go with Budweiser only for one simple fact. One, they are the original, and last year there wasn't a Budweiser ad because those were one of the brands that basically were their airtime. The money for their airtime was
donations
to COVID charity. So I think Budweiser is going to have a strong comeback. So I got to go Budweiser.
And for those exact reasons why I'm going to take Budweiser too.
Is that the Clydesdales one also, or no?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the first because I heard that they had an old fashioned with a new twist on it. I personally, I like the horse and the dog. That was the one that always got everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But before you go to the next one,
no, I was just gonna say I was just looking at some of the older best Super Bowl commercials, and there was that one Budweiser ad that they aired like one time with the horse bowing to where the Twin Towers were.
Yes,
that is the best commercial of all time.
Yeah.
I'll throw one more at you. It's not on this list, but just because I want to twist Tom's brain a little bit because I talk about it all the time.
Oh no.
So, which crypto company commercial will air first?
Oh, man. Sign of the times.
Crypto.com or FTX? Tom loves when I talk about this because I have cryptocurrency and I invest in it.
Also, because Crypto.com is a big sponsor of the UFC, and I just don't get crypto.
And the Lakers. Wait, it's now called Crypto.com Arena.
That's right, it is too.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's Staples Center to me. It's Staples Center to me. It's Staples Center.
So, Crypto.com is the favorite. There's 2 choices.
Can I not bet on this one?
Well, you don't have to.
I would take crypto. I mean, I'm not a crypto guy either, but the Crypto.com is the only thing I've actually even heard of, so I would have to go with them.
But FTX actually has been on all the on the Sirius Fantasy channel. I've heard it on a bunch of other places. I think the underdog might actually play in this one in an FTX.
Okay,
that's just me.
That would since I don't know enough about that, that's a bet that I would stay away from.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. These are more game related.
Okay.
So, the National Anthem, which we all love to talk about.
I'm pressing over on this one. I'm smashing the over button.
And you clearly heard me say this in the intro, that as long as we don't hear Fergie sing it, we'll be okay. So, what do you think, Johnny?
Nick, this is, and I don't really do prop bets, I'll be honest with you, but if I've got a Super Bowl party I'm going to tonight, if they are throwing this one out there, I will jump on this so fast it'll make your head spin. This is something you take the over on every single time. I mean, 95 seconds. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, then I'm surprised it wouldn't be closer to 2 minutes because it seems like it's always in that minute 50 to 2 minute range. So I'm going to take the over
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah, always I remember. I think the time just not too long ago, it used to be like if it was going to be 203, the under or over. But the fact that it's 135 now, I gotta hit. I gotta go with the over.
Well, you know how this all started, right? Do you know how the
Christina
over?
Aguilera?
Yes, exactly. Because Christina Aguilera, with her long, elongated, ridiculous notes, totally fucked everybody up with that bet.
I mean, we have to remember that. I mean, it's for good. I mean, look, we love the anthem, but I mean, and all the singers and songwriters say that this is the hardest song to sing.
Yeah,
but it's become like, I hate to say it, it's almost become more than it should be. I mean, it's supposed to be remembrance of our country. It should not be like trying to, stretch it out and try and sing your best thing about it. That's why, you know what the crazy thing is, and I don't want to get off topic, but I think the best national anthem is the one they do at Yankee Stadium. Either either the instrumental one, or you just do the old what is it? Robert
Merrill, number 1.5.
No, but who was the other one that did it at the old stadium?
Well, Ronan Tynan did "God Bless America," but they always do a pre-recorded version of it. It's either
you guys talk. I'll look it up.
Oh, he's looking it up.
Some instrumental guy, or they do the Robert Merrill. I think it's Robert Merrill's rendition of it, which
Kate
is
Smith. Kate Smith.
Kate Smith was "God Bless America."
Robert Merrill was Robert Merrill.
Robert Merrill, yeah, and Kate Smith was "God Bless America."
Which I remember, which they don't do anymore because of her.
Because of
the political nightmare it caused. Yeah. But I'm with Tom. Smash button.
Okay, so this next one. So the performer is going to be Mickey Guyton, who's a country singer,
which automatically tells you it's going to be longer.
As somebody now who lives in South Carolina on my 8th year, and they do country music a lot down here, I absolutely will take that.
So then, Johnny, will you back me up on this one? This one about her forgetting or omitting a word? Hell no. A country singer forgetting or omitting a word? Not in the slightest. A country singer?
Yeah, I'm going to say no to that.
You want to know the odds on that one? Because I have it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes is plus 625. No is the overwhelming favorite at minus 1300.
Yeah, it's a country singer. You can't. If Mickey Guyton does, social media is going to explode.
And forgive me for not even knowing who Mickey Guyton.
I don't know. Wait a minute. I said this on the episode. I'm like, huh? Like, who's that?
I mean, I think because a lot of the attention is being paid to the halftime show.
I have to throw one more on this topic. I know we're a little over, but so color of Mickey Guyton's outfit during the anthem.
Oh,
now,
come on.
Now, the reason they brought it up, and they have a whole description of it here. So they have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 colors. 10 colors to bet on. And the reason they say it is because Guyton wore a yellow dress when she performed the anthem at the Memorial Day concert. Last May, she was decked out in red at Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting. In December, purple was her color of choice at the Thanksgiving Day parade.
She's been around everywhere. Then I don't know why I don't know it. I don't ever even heard of this person.
But I just find it crazy. Like, you're a degenerate gambler if you're betting on this stuff.
Yeah.
The one angle, I mean, I love how we're breaking this down, but would you say that the game being in Los Angeles has something to do with it tonight? I mean, you think of LA, you think of like awards and stuff. I mean, think of like, award shows and stuff.
Actually,
that's why I was thinking with Burrow, but that's Burrow being Burrow. But go ahead.
It's funny you bring that up because yellow and gold for the dress is the second favorite.
It's the second favorite, yeah.
And blue is the third favorite.
What's the top? Red?
White.
Oh.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say either gold, yellow, or white. One of those options.
Oh God, are we gonna have a dress controversy with colors all over again?
No,
I don't think we'll ever go there.
Last prop bet. This one's at the number of planes during the flight. Now I was talking Nick before we got I always remember seeing 5, maybe somewhere in the range of 3 to 6 all the time.
This is stupid. Again, going back to what Johnny said earlier, this is all about respect during the national anthem, and now we're gambling on how many planes are flying over.
I think that also might be why you see the anthems go long, because they try and time that for with the flights and with the flying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is ridiculous. The degenerate
is.
gamblers.
Look, you're just trying to find ways to make money by doing this. But what's the favorite? Because I would say my hunch would be 5.
So
Five would be
it's
my
over.
hunch as well.
It's over under 5, and because they're treating it like the coin toss, it's the same odds for over 5 or
So
under.
wait, you
5.
can't. So wait, you can't do exact 5.
Can't do 5 then.
And they said it can't be 5. It either has to
Then,
be over.
then I'm not betting on this one. I'm not even
wouldn't-
betting on
no,
this
I
one in the
wouldn't bet
first
it
place.
I wouldn't bet it either. But then if that's the case, I'm going to go over. I mean, Now SoFi is close to LAX, so that I don't. Again, does that matter? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I'm sure they.
Wait a minute. This says here, someone wrote an analysis on it. This one is a bit confusing as the military and the NFL have stated plans to have 5 planes fly over the stadium during the anthem. So unless you think problems will arise and one of the planes will be grounded, very unlikely, there's going to be, or a surprise 6th.
This is stupid.
So why would you even, so basically that's a sucker bet for Vegas.
I'm not even.
Yeah, you don't take it.
Okay, we have gone so over time.
Well,
we have gone so. Oh wait.
I want to mention one more thing because I wanted to talk about the parlay. So people who are doing parlays, like I do one here. So this is the first time I've tried this, by the way, too. So I started to say earlier, Cooper Kupp, I think, is odds on to score a touchdown anytime in this game. The 48.5 is an interesting one. I took the over. I think it's going to be just over. I think it'll be somewhere between 50 and 55, somewhere in there. I took the Rams to cover. We'll give our official picks at the end, obviously. But and then I took Jamar Chase, which apparently is way off the odds for scoring a touchdown in the first half, because I think since he's going to come out and try to make its presence known.
Yeah.
And then I took the 1-13 margin. So basically, it's $10 to win $360.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Not bad. All right. Moment of truth, guys. Here we go. What is Johnny? I want you to go first because you are our guest.
Okay.
What is your final prediction and your final score of this matchup?
Super Bowls are usually not high-scoring shootout kind of games, and I don't think it's going to be. I think this is going to be like Super Bowls of the past, where it's going to get off to a slow start with both teams trying to feel each other out. I think the defenses are going to actually step up in a big way. I know both teams offensively are very good. I know both teams' defenses are very good. I just think the one X factor, and you cannot overstate or overlook this, is the offensive line woes of the Bengals and the defensive line, the ability to get to the quarterback for the Rams. So I am going to take the Los Angeles Rams 27-17 over the Cincinnati Bengals, and I am going to go against conventional wisdom and say my Super Bowl MVP, Aaron Donald.
Ooh.
Oh, he just dropped the mic right there.
Okay.
Because you know what? We spoke about this before the show. I know it's very hard to go against the quarterback, against the MVP. It's always the sexy pick. It's always the attractive pick and stuff. But I think defenses are going to have a big way, and I would not be surprised if Aaron Donald has a pick 6 in this game, if he has a couple of sacks. I think we're going to see a pick 6 in this game, but I'm going to say that he makes his presence known in a big, big way, and I'm going to go, a little different this go around.
Okay, I like it. I'll go next. So I talked about it yesterday on Empty Bench. I talked about it here. I think the big X factor, and I kind of agree with you, Johnny, is that Rams defense. Yes, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, that Bengals offense is young and explosive, but I think that Rams defense is and has been for one of the better defenses of the NFL for a reason. And they've only seemed to have stuffed themselves up with potential and star power. And I think that veteran, all the veterans on that Rams team, especially those who were just in the Super Bowl not too long ago, they're hungry. They want it. I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals, their time will come. I think you still should not disrespect the Bengals. I think their time is still going to come. It's just not going to be right now. I think that Rams defense, I could see this being a little more of an offensive game than normal, but I like the range that you were going in, Johnny, and I kind of am going to go in that same realm. So what's funny is Nick Federa also predicted the Rams to score 27. I'm going to go one step further in terms of a history-making pick with this show. So for the first time, I believe in Empty the Bench and Unspoken Podcast history, there will be two hosts who have the exact same prediction for the Super Bowl. I am in total agreement with Nick Federa yesterday. 27-24. The Rams will win by a field goal. I don't know if it'll be the last play of the game, but the Rams will win just by that much, by a field goal. However, I am going to disagree, and I'm going to go with convention and the safe bet. I'm going to go with, I think Cooper Kupp will perform to the point where he should be, but knowing how the NFL is, I think Matthew Stafford will get the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have more high-scoring aspirations.
Uh-oh.
So, like I started to say, first of all, I think the Rams are going to cover that spread at 4. So I think that I said before, I think it's going to be 30-26. I think there's going to be, like I said, I think the total will be somewhere between 50 and 56. The over was 48.5. So I think that's going to get covered. I think Cooper Kupp is going to have at least 1 touchdown, maybe 2. I think Odell Beckham might get in the mix. I think he'll score.
Mm-hmm.
I think since he'll make it close, I think you'll see Jamar with a touchdown. I'm sure you'll see Higgins and Mixon's going to be running all over because they can play defense. I think Mixon is one of the better runners in all of the NFL. So, like I said, I think it'll be 30-26. I think they cover, and unfortunately, since he is still on the hook, but I think they'll win sometime in the next couple of years.
And we're leaving it. What's funny is most of us are leaving it close to the point where, it could very well be Cincinnati winning by 3. But I think all of us seem to be in agreement that it is the Rams' time.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it maybe should be the Rams' time. I'll ask, what I asked very early on in the show, considering the trade with Matthew Stafford, the trade where they basically have given up their next 2 first-round picks for the next 2 years. Is this a must-win situation for the Rams?
I don't must win. I would almost say yes, because how long is their window?
Not long.
Really?
It should have been shut, but they got Stafford.
Yeah, and I think the Bengals, and I don't want to overreact in saying this, I think the Bengals are close to possibly being consistent for a very, very long time.
Agreed.
I mean, that division is going to be changing. If they shore up that offensive line, they've got the recipe to be a good team for a long time, because the head coach and the quarterback are both very young. They both came in together. They have all their wide receivers who, are pretty young.
Jason Burrow played at LSU. They know one another.
Exactly. They got Mixon. So really, I mean, they're just an offensive line away from, doing this. I believe, health's also a big factor too, but I believe they could do this for a very long time, because what's Pittsburgh going to do with their quarterback position? The Ravens now, they are changing coaches left and right. So they're in transition mode, and we don't know. So I think they are really in a position to be consistent for a very, very long time.
So, yeah, this is going to be a good game. And before we go, Tom, make sure you get to that last banner too.
Yep.
So, hey, Johnny, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so I'm happy to announce that I will be joining you guys and premiering a new show called Game On. We are going for the week of March 13th. I've done sports shows in the past, so I'm very excited to come on and be a part of it for you guys. And yeah, we're going to be doing the show called Game On. We're going to be looking at games past, looking at games ahead, talking about all the big news in the world of sports. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And, March 13th, that's going to be an interesting time, because that's right as March Madness is starting up. You've still got NBA and NHL happening. And, well, who knows with baseball? And I don't want to be thinking we'll be breaking down the tiniest bit of NFL news, but if things break, who knows? But
that is around the time of free agency.
And we'll be breaking that down as well. Any big sports news, we'll be discussing it on Game On. So looking forward to being there next month, and stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've known Johnny for a while. He used to do a show. Actually, we have friends that do a show called Review and Preview. They have their own network on Facebook as well, and they're good guys. And
Yes.
I've spoken to them a little bit. So yeah, this is going to be good, and we look forward to it as our network grows and thrives. And actually, it's finally good to have a second sports show involved on here.
Absolutely, and I'm honored to do it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And this was a lot of fun too. And I'll tell you what, I think no matter what, I think we're in for a great night tonight.
I hope so.
I hope so.
I hope we don't get like a 40-7 game or something.
Oh my god! I mentioned it. I mentioned in my minute all the hype that we have for this game. Imagine if it ends up like last year, where there's one team dismantling.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, there's a lot of, like we said, there's a lot of first entering this game. There's a lot of history, and it would be kind of a bummer to see it be a dud. The way the two teams are positioned, unless something completely falters, I think it's going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be a situation where it could be close, and then maybe you see the Rams like pull away in the fourth quarter. That could be what it is. But I think they're both pretty evenly matched. Again, the exception I would say would be the offensive line for the Bengals. But no matter what, I think we're in for one heck of a night.
So we'll post all our scores. They'll be up there. We'll tag everybody so everyone knows whose scores belong to who, and then we'll assess once this game is over, and it'll be overreaction Monday, as I like to say, after the Super Bowl.
Absolutely, yeah. The overreaction Monday, and then we'll see where we transition to after that, because that's where the interesting thing is going to be.
Yep. All right. So make sure to, if you're watching us on Twitter, make sure to give us a like and retweet this stream.
Yeah, really.
If you are watching us on Facebook, make sure to give a like to the post.
If you haven't gotten canceled.
Yeah, if we haven't gotten canceled, and make sure to like the page, follow the page, share the broadcast. And for those of you watching on our home on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. When you hit the subscribe button, also make sure to hit the bell. That way you get notifications for all the shows, whether it's for Empty the Bench, whether it's for Game On coming soon. We even had a new episode of Here Now, the News with Jerry Barmish earlier today. I believe he talked with actor Jeff Holman. He had a whole conversation with him this morning.
Yeah.
Beyond the Bench is kind of blowing up, about to approach 400 views after your with your most recent episode with your talk with Cavino and Rich.
All I could say is that Facebook fan pages are volatile. You should stay off them.
You are really just burying us in the Facebook hole.
No, I'm serious. It wasn't even my fault. Like, it's a long story. Don't have time for it now.
Sweet Treats and Eats, actually, a living life. Sweet Treats and Eats actually earlier last week just dropped a mini episode. So if you're in scrambling mode right now, want to put together a Super Bowl meal in the next couple of hours.
If you like nachos,
there's a nacho platter that has just been dropped. Also, don't forget Soundproof.
Music. Yep.
Yeah, Soundproof. Actually, that's been a show that has have been growing quite a bit and has its own following already.
Yeah. So, there's a lot. There's more. As we said, Game On, week of March 13th. There's a bunch of other shows. There's a lot. Just make sure you stay in the loop.
Yep.
So best way to do that, like us all on social media, follow our own social media. You see at ETB Sports, our Twitter pages, and our Twitter pages scrolling down below. And don't forget on YouTube, ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Yeah, I think that's about it, though. I think we've exhausted We'll let NBC carry the other 5 hours of pregame coverage. They want
and enjoy, and for us media people, enjoy Michelle Tafoya's last sideline broadcast.
Yes,
yeah, that's right.
She do like 100 plus broadcasts, right?
Yeah,
it's a ton, but she's great.
This might be Al Michaels' last show too.
Yeah, it could be an NBC transition too.
This could be the end of an era.
God, if he ends up in Amazon, I'm going to be annoyed.
And then for those of you who are more sports degenerates and want more stuff to watch, right after the Super Bowl, they're in Olympic coverage.
Hey,
I mean, really, NBC? Really? You had to
That's the reason they traded places with CBS, so that way they didn't have to compete with the Super Bowl.
I mean, they're too busy dealing with Russian doping anyway.
All right. Before you get us canceled for more places, Nick, Johnny, thank you so much for joining us, by the way. It's been an absolute pleasure. Welcome to the network. Hopefully, we're hoping for a great success.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
So for Johnny, for Nick Morgasen, for Nick Videra, our other co-host, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care, everybody. Enjoy the game.
Yep. We'll see you on next Saturday.
Yep.
Well, you got it.